Condemnation facing the Republican senators who voted to convict has been swift and unsparing. Of the 7 GOP senators who voted with the Democrats, 2 have already been censured by their state's Republican parties, Richard Burr of North Carolina and Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, and 4 more are facing mounting calls for censure. Yesterday's vote by the North Carolina Republican Party to censure Burr was unanimous, and the senator, who has called his conviction vote necessary, responded with this statement, quote, "It is truly a sad day for North Carolina Republicans. My party's leadership has chosen loyalty to one man over the core principles of the Republican Party and the founders of our great nation." It's those core principles that Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois is working so hard to restore. He's one of only 3 House Republicans who voted to both impeach Trump and strip Marjorie Taylor Greene of her committee assignments. But his actions have been met with backlash, too, even a massively personal rebuke. New York Times writes this, quote, 2 days after Mr. Kinzinger called for removing Trump from office following the January 6th riot at the Capitol, 11 members of his family sent him a handwritten 2-page letter saying he was in cahoots with, quote, the Devil's Army for making a public break with the president. Oh, my, what a disappointment you are to us and to God, they wrote. You have embarrassed the Kinzinger family name. An undaunted Kinzinger responded by saying those who had written the letter suffer from brainwashing from conservative churches, and he is pressing forward with his efforts to save the party. Kinzinger told the Times, quote, "We just fear the Democrats, fear the future, fear everything. And it works for an election cycle or 2. The problem is it does real damage to this democracy." Mr. Kinzinger said he was not deterred by the Senate's failure on Saturday to convict Trump in the impeachment trial. "We have a lot of work to do to restore the Republican Party," he said, and to turn the tide on the personality politics. It's a belief echoed by former Arizona Senator Jeff Flake, who writes in a new op-ed about the need for the GOP to purge itself of Trump. Flake writes this, quote, "We didn't convict him. We should have, but we didn't. Let's not compound the grievous injury to the country and our party by continuing to embrace him. For Trumpism is the opposite of conservatism. We all know that, too. There is nothing to gain by making a pilgrimage to Florida. There is no enlightened mystic at Mar-a-Lago, just a diminished man who lost an election and couldn't accept it. There is no redeeming his behavior, and let's not continue this tragic charade by further humiliating and debasing ourselves." A fractured Republican Party is where we start this hour with some of our favorite reporters and friends. Washington Post contributing columnist, former Congresswoman Donna Edwards is back. Also joining us, Sam Stein, Politico White House editor, and Charlie Sykes, editor-at-large at The Bulwark. Lucky for us, all 3 are MSNBC contributors. We have breaking news to get to. And Charlie Sykes, I don't revel in the circular firing squad that has become the GOP, but I can say that those of us who jumped off the GOP train in 2015 when Donald Trump took it over certainly saw this coming. Let me read you what Trump has just said about Mitch McConnell. It's a long statement. We'll get through all of it, but this is sort of the money quote. "Mitch is a dour, sullen, and unsmiling political hack. And if Republican senators are going to stay with him, they will not win again. He will never do what needs to be done or what is right for our country. Where necessary and appropriate, I will back primary rivals who espouse making America great again and our policy of America first. We want brilliant, strong, thoughtful, and compassionate leadership." It is a screed against Mitch McConnell that Donald Trump has just released, obviously in retaliation for what was actually an acquittal vote for Mitch McConnell, but a scathing speech suggesting that Donald Trump could and should face criminal investigation and prosecution.
Yes, utterly unsurprising. But then again, Mitch McConnell had an opportunity over the weekend to hold the president accountable, the ex-president accountable, and he decided that he wasn't going to do it. You know, when you go for the king, you have to get the king. And I'm not exactly sure what McConnell's play was, because he had to know, just like everybody else that you've been talking about, had to know that by going against Donald Trump, by putting country over party, that the Trumpists would release the flying monkeys. This is the Republican Party's cancel culture. And you're going to see it over and over again, trying to stomp out, attack, vilify, excommunicate, exile, whatever you want, however you want to describe it, anyone who defies Donald Trump. And it is interesting, Donald Trump threatening the primaries, threatening to further divide the primary. This is a guy that right now, according to the Politico Morning Consult poll, has a 34% approval rating. Now, he still may be popular among Republicans, but at some point, Republicans have to look at this and go, this may win primaries, but if we keep heading down this direction, we're not going to be winning elections, not if we continue to be a cult of personality for somebody who basically now has 1/3 of the electorate thinking he does a good job.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.